Hello everybody, welcome back to Road to Master. I hope you all have an amazing day. We're starting off with the white pieces against a 2090 from International. I don't think that's a country. I think it's more like an absence of country. I don't really know. Anyway, or maybe more than one countries. Who cares? Norwegian rat, they've declined it with knight c3, also known as the boring line. We're forced to play d5, and then once they push, we go knight e4. They can take here, but that's not the best for them. It's not bad at all. It's just not the best. They push here, and then usually, well, I mean, the best move is knight c to e2, which is strange, but it works. Bishop there is probably more in black's favor. I still think the computer will say it's equal, but the line, the most played line is takes, which looks tempting for white because you get this isolated pawn. Anyway, they don't do that, so we're going to take their knight, is what I'm trying to say. And here we'll probably go for a c5. c5 looks like it's gambiting a pawn. It's not really, it sort of is, but it's not really, because you get these triple isolated pawns, so they're not going to take that. And the whole point is to weaken this e-pawn as well for like a bishop g7 eventually. They decide to check. I'll probably just go knight c6. We want to go there anyway, so we might as well get that for free, basically. And here we'll go bishop g4, I think. Like we sort of usually do, I think with the rat, we're trying to seal this up. Your bishop, dark square bishop, has free play on c5, and it can also go to g7 as well. So I think we'll probably go g4, and it allows us to threaten to take this once we castle, which I think is good for us. There's not much else they can do strategically wise. We can probably take this actually. Then they have to take. If they don't, then we get this. Well, we just win a free piece. Thank you very much. Yeah, basically it. They had to take the knight with check, at which point takes, and we can think about playing c5 again. But we're just up a piece at this point, and I am more than happy. More than happy indeed. They can't castle with our queen here, which is beautiful. However, they're putting a bit of pressure on our king side, which I'm not a fan of. I do not like pressure at all. And the question is, what do we do about it? Bishop e7 takes. Looks appetizing. They resign. Oh, fair enough. Well, that's 2 games in a row where they've resigned early. I don't know what we do here. I think a bishop e7's fine. I just think they don't want to play that, to be honest. I just think they don't want to play that. 96.0 versus 84.5. Let's have a quick look and then we'll dive into the opening a bit more, I think. Seeing as how it's a short video. So we know this theory, and then we know takes, pawn takes, and then c5 is also theory as well. And the whole point is if they take this, not only do they have these really awkward triple pawns, which you can immediately hit with a knight d7, is what the computer's saying, but you've also weakened this e5 square for like the bishop, like we said, the knight coming in as well. It's targets, you know, it's nothing solid. You're down a pawn, it's nothing solid, but you've got targets that you can develop with tempo, I think is the whole point. They go with the bishop check, which is logical, and we block with the knight. Not the best move, but 0.2 of a pawn difference. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. Knight takes, and then yeah, maybe I need to consider this knight d7 a bit more than knight c6, because that seems to be the computer line, and it seems quite nice defending and attacking at the same time. I do quite like that. Knight f3. We move the bishop. Again, not the best move, but it's 0.6 of a pawn. Apparently you take, which that's not a move you want to play when you've got a pin. You know? Yeah, I don't know about that one. I like this, you know, because you're taking the queen away from the queen side, and your king side's surprisingly secure, to be fair, because they just don't have that many pieces, you know. So we go e6 to solidify this pawn structure. Probably unnecessary. We can just go g7. They're not going to push e6 because, yeah, it's just not nice. Apparently castle's not even takes. Well, I guess if you take, you're never castling. So you castle first. Oops, sorry. You castle first, and then if they take, you can take with a tempo on the queen. Seems logical. Yep. Where are we? Takes, queen takes. We play e6. Rook b1 is one way to secure the bishop. And I think you move the rook to b1 really anyway in this line, because those are where my sort of weak pawns are. h4 is a decent idea, but I don't think at the end of the day you've got enough pieces. It's definitely something I could mess up, but I think defended correctly, it's not much of a threat. We take with the obvious threat. Here you go rook b1, and we can choose to hang on to this pawn. You could choose to take it, but then you've got a lot of pressure all of a sudden on this pawn. Nope, not even that. Oh, you go rook there, and that's tricky. That's tricky. And then maybe takes. Or you could just leave that forever, I guess. Oh, you go there. That's quite nice. Threatening takes. Castles. Takes is nasty. Is really, really nasty. Because now takes, I guess queen takes. Oh no, they can't take because the rook's hanging. That's nice. But even still, that doesn't look particularly nice. The bishop gets a nice home on d6. Still, yeah, still down a pawn. Not nice at all. So we would have had to play bishop f5 there to potentially go bishop b6 and block the rook from infiltrating. But I sort of like the bishop on e7 just to stop this, which can be very annoying sometimes. Queen c7, but then, like, yeah, I think queen there is even better. Doesn't look nice at all. How are you defending this pawn? h5, I guess, works. Apparently this is relatively even. Oh, you go rook h3 and just add another. Yeah, why do silly stuff when you can go for the king? You know, that's something I need to work on. I think I'm too desperate to complete my attack rather than potentially adding to my attack. I think is something I need to work on. Queen f5. We just win the bishop. And I'd quite like to see where this goes. Bishop e7 is what I thought. And then you can kick out the queen with an f8, but then h7. But there's no real infiltration here. They can't go bishop g5 anymore because the h4 pawn is not there. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it looks scary. We could queenside castle, but I think maybe like a king d7 is better. I don't see queenside castling in our future because we want to keep the rook maybe on b8, just to defend that weakness. And we're actually sort of safest in the center, which is wild, but I think it's true. Let's have a look at some more theory. So, blah, blah, blah. We know this. So, the move is knight to e2, which is insane. Like, that is such a weird one to make. But you're not doubling your pawns. You're not giving me this annoying pawn on e4, which stops this knight's development. You can still kick this knight out. I think it's more avoiding this trade than anything. Yeah, I think that's all it is. So apparently you play f6. It's wild. It looks like your knight's potentially going to get trapped at some point. But f6, not only are you stopping the knight getting trapped because it can now go to g5, you're also undermining their pawn structure in the center. So if they do decide to kick you out, knight g5 is the only move that saves you. And they can trade off and destroy your pawn structure a bit. And the computer doesn't mind this. That's the thing about computers. They don't care. You know, they don't care the way something looks. They care about the objective truth behind the position, you know. And if something looks ugly like this, they'll like if it works, they don't care, which is wild. H4 apparently a move. Yeah, I mean maybe this pawn's actually doing a job of limiting knight f4. You want to move f3 as well to get this knight developed. So maybe that's doing a good job at that. So we go g takes. Rook takes, yeah, we can think about e6, but then maybe we're blocking in this light squared bishop. c5 is the way to play it. On the other side of the board for some reason, like you're super weak over here, you just play on the other side of the board. Why not? Why not? Queen d2. Okay. Knight c6, developing. And I guess here you are castling queenside, probably. You could still castle kingside. Could still castle kingside. Castle's queenside is very natural for white. This is almost, is it Joe Barber London or London against like a King's Indian setup, where they castle queenside, where they push h4, that sort of stuff. e6, so you do actually play e6, and just accept that this is the way it is, because if they decide to take, if you don't do e6 and they decide to take, all of a sudden, this is extremely weak. So you're going to have to play e6 at some point anyway. And that's a good point as well. If the bishop comes out and then you play e6, all of a sudden, not happy. Not happy at all. That's a blunder, apparently. Oh, because the rook's hanging. But you know the idea. Like you're on the outside of the pawn chain. You've got no squares up here. g4 is asking to be played at some point. So you probably have to just go. What are we saying? Where can the rook go? Rook h1. He just wants the rook back. And then maybe like a h5 needs to be played to stop g4. Oh, you go g5 and open up a line that way. Queen c3. And you don't even have to move this because they've not committed to g4 yet. Wow. That is wild. That's really wild. Alternatively, takes, pawn takes, then a knight e2 I think works. f4 is interesting. If they try for this, again, c5 is the idea. If they take, you trade off queens, and then the knight can come out like we said, or the bishop can come out and hit this. And it's important to know as well, if you decide to go the bishop route, they have no f4 to defend this pawn because you just take en passant, which is really, really nice. So they don't take, basically. They're always going to play c3. It's a safe move. At which point you can keep going with the knight. You know, if they push, you take this. And now they can't do this because this is immediate. The knight's already attacking the pawn. So they just have to live with it. Maybe you can go bishop g3, but once they get a chance, they are going to go knight g3, and you might have to say bye-bye to this e-pawn, which is why you've got to be smart about committing in the center and making sure you're threatening to win your own pawn back. Say if they go knight g3 straight away, well, you can probably just take that then. So maybe just a bishop e3, bishop g7. Again, undermining the structure, hitting the pawns. The knight could potentially go back now. Although, again, c takes d is nice, I think. So they might have to defend that. It's saying a3. So, yeah, no, maybe now could be a time for knight g3. C takes. Then where's it wanting? Queen b6. Queen a5 check. Queen b6. They might have d5. Is really nice. No? Queen a5 check. Queen a5 check then takes. Nice intermezzo. And if they have bishop there, then you do queen takes d5 because they blocked in their queen. That's cool. That's really cool. Apparently queen a5 though immediately is the move. The bishop comes back. Then queen b6, and you just hit that again. But now they don't have the bishop coming to attack you. Oh, so that's a cool way of just moving the bishop. If they decide to block with the queen, you can trade off. If bishop takes, you win the pawn, so they have to do king takes. Now the king's in the center of the board. You can think about getting a rook to d8. Castles, yeah. And if they stay in the center, you have tactics of rook d1, knight takes e5 with the pin on the king. So you like, this is an awkward pawn. This is weak. You're probably going to lose it. But if they bother to spend time trying to get this pawn, then you just have too much pressure in the center and you're going to win some material back. Whether that's just going equal on the pawns, or maybe going up a pawn, or maybe just distracting the king and taking it in the center so you can have some tactics in the future. There's a lot of stuff, and that's why I quite like this, because it's surprising, willingly having this awkward pawn in the center, but you actually get a fair amount of counterplay on these dark squares in the center. Anyway, I think that should do it for now. Another cheap game, I guess, but you know, we'll take those. 2035. What's that? 65 more points to go. 65 more points to go. Quick maths there. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please like if you liked. Please subscribe if you really liked. And I'll catch you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.